Hello and welcome back to the OATI Energy Conference 2024 in Las Vegas. I'm John Engel, Editor-in-Chief of Distributech and POWERGRID International. I'm joined today by Mary Brown, Senior Executive Vice President for OATI. And Mary, it's been an exciting couple of days here. And each conversation that I have with both your customers and the OATI team centers around this obsession with customer benefits and ensuring that you guys are delivering on those expectations and those demands from your customers. Why is that such a core focus of OATI's mission statement, and how does that then manifest in your service to them?
You know, that's a great question, John. I think a lot of companies get caught up in the latest technologies or the latest fads, and they don't look at what are the real problems that customers have on a day-to-day basis. That's critical path for OATI. We have stunning architectures, we have stunning technologies, but if a customer can't use it or can't implement it, then it doesn't do them any good. So it's far better, we think, to ask the customer, what's important to you on a daily basis? Where are your pain points? Is it staffing? Everybody has a problem with staffing right now. Is it training? Is it usability of the system? What is it exactly? How can we make things better for you? And I think that's what differentiates us from some of our competitors out there in the market.
And I was talking to your CEO about this as well in OATI's growth and trajectory and scale and growing at a sustainable pace and making sure that you can still deliver for those customers in the way that both sides expect. How does that relate to, your strategy of the company's growth? And, we don't want to get too big too fast where we can't serve our customers in the way that they expect from us after decades of support.
Yeah, that's another great question. You're doing a good job, John. What can I say? I think it's important for any executive to ask herself or himself, as the case may be, what's really important to our organization, because we have to be true to our organization. But we wouldn't have an organization if it weren't for our customers. So I think it's a fine, delicate balance between do I have enough versus do I have too many staff? How can I support my customer better? And from an OATI perspective, it's not only about supporting our customer better, it's about supporting our customers smarter. For example, one of the things that we've heard time and time again from our customers is we have new staff on board, a lot of retirements. How are we going to train these people? How are we going to make them able to take over where these senior people are no longer available? How is that knowledge transfer going to happen? And so one of the things that we've introduced across our solutions is the OATI Copilot. So it's an AI machine learning generated, essentially, help desk kind of a feature in all of our solutions. And it makes life easier for the operators, for the end users of our system. Now, could we have added a lot more people and had customers call us and have a lot more people answer questions? We could have. But we decided that it is smarter if we went and solved the problem technologically.
The theme of the event this year is Rise to the Challenge. It's pretty self-explanatory, which is the best, catchphrase to have, is one that tells a story pretty quickly. What does that mean to OATI? We've heard over and over again in all of these conversations and presentations that there's this paradigm shift, that what was once a fairly simple, centralized system is now so decentralized and complex and has a multitude of stakeholders. What do you think of when you say rise to the challenge? What does that mean?
I think for me, John, it's a bit different. I'm not a technical person. I'm in charge of enterprise resources at OATI. So I view it from the perspective of what are the challenges our customers have? What are the challenges that we have with staffing, with training, with keeping updated on technologies? The problems that we're experiencing are similar to the problems our customers are experiencing. Costs need to be contained. IT infrastructure and environments are becoming prohibitively expensive. We all suffer from lack of resources. How are we as organizations going to rise to meet those challenges? Because I think they play into the technical challenges that we have. For example, I was talking to a customer about a year ago, and the customer let me know that in this one particular area, they only had 3 staff people left on their staff who knew how to run this application. And I was surprised because it's very complex, 7 by 24 desk, and I was shocked when they said they only have 3 people. And I went back into our organization and I told my technology people, this is the problem. No matter what the customer may tell you, this is their real problem. How can we make things better for them? That's a challenge. And I continue to challenge our technical people from those perspectives rather than what is the leading technology or the architectures or any of those kinds of things.
It's not just the movement of the electron
Correct.
or the bits and bytes. It's people.
It's beyond that. It's looking at the people. It's looking at the organizations. What are the problems and challenges they have? What are the challenges generally of our vendors out on the grid as well? So I think that we all have to play nicely. It's a big sandbox, and we have to be aware of who is sitting beside us before we start throwing sand in people's faces.
And we'll get to that. I want to pull on that thread a little bit more in the next question. But OATI has really leaned into this enterprise solution and seeing that with the enterprise DERMs and really trying to be this one-stop shop or repository for all this data and all these different tools and telling your customers, or at least probably what they've told you, that having too many cooks in the kitchen can get really challenging for any utility or grid operator. Why? Maybe take me through the decision to serve the industry in that way. Why was this end-to-end solution such a critical decision for OATI?
That's a very interesting question, and I think it goes back to the roots of OATI. In contrast to other operators out on the grid right now, vendor operators, OATI has been grounded in the energy industry for 30 years, and that's bulk power. That's the reliability sector. It's the merchant operations sector. And we've become very well known for our expertise in those areas. Understanding what's happening at the high level, at the bulk power level of the grid, has been empowering to us to understand where is distribution going? How are things changing? So from our perspective, we realized about 15 years ago that it was not only about developing devices at the edge of the grid, behind the meter, so to say, the thermostat in my house, the water heater in your house. How can we use those to solve problems on the grid? There are organizations that can communicate with them. That's bravo. We have to have those kind of organizations. But once you communicate with them, what will the utility do with those opportunities? How can they use them for their own benefit? And moreover, we know that there are huge problems at the reliability level and at the market level. So how can we begin to solve those problems as well? And I think that our background and our experience in those areas has really allowed us to focus on concerns that others may not even realize exist. And that's why we are so focused on end-to-end.
So to go a little deeper on the end-to-end concept too, and then back to the playing nice in the sandbox and making sure that you have those productive relationships within the industry, the recent announcement by OATI with the channel partnership with Landis & Gyr is very fascinating to me to see. OATI strategy has always been, if we see a need or we hear from customers that they need a solution, we'll go build it ourselves. You have not gone the M&A route. You have
Correct.
not gobbled up small vendors and made a larger solution, which we do see a lot in this market on the software side. The partnership with Landis is very interesting because you're saying you guys have this grid edge intelligence and this hardware in the AMI 2.0 transition. We had our origin story at the whole other end of the spectrum. How do we make something work for the customer that capitalizes on that whole ecosystem? How did that decision come together, or that relationship? Where did it begin, and why did that make so much sense for your team?
You know, John, it is a novel alliance for OATI. We have many alliances. We have a grid edge ecosystem, and we interact with grid edge entities all the time. I think in the Landis+Gyr situation, it was the realization of Landis+Gyr that they needed to be able to empower their grid edge ecosystem. And they looked around and came out to us, asked if we were interested, and we're interested in all kinds of solutions that make sense to the industry. Is Landis+Gyr going to do something that we couldn't do apart from them? Absolutely not. We still have our own solutions. We're not going anywhere, still the same. But Landis+Gyr had a need. And when they came to us and explained how complementary our systems were, and we saw that, we understood that it was just a natural fit.
Mary Brown, thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for having us at the OATI Energy Conference.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you.